Kala Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Kudash, and double honors to the elders of Jem Ruel. Blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah. Today's lesson: Ukrainians abroad targeted in draft notice scam. As it says here in this RT.com article, Ukrainians abroad targeted in draft notice scam officials. Further reading says Poland's Office for Foreigners has shattered a letter that threatens immigrants with extradition if they reject conscription. Right, the draft. Ukrainians living in Poland have been sent fake draft notices threatening criminal liability and deportation if they do not comply with a demand to report for conscription, Polish officials have claimed. In a statement issued on Thursday, Poland's Office for Foreigners shared a letter dated December 12th, which warned an unnamed Ukrainian of a supposedly imminent visit by Polish officials. The purpose of this visit is to ensure your transfer to a mobilization point in connection with the obligation of military service in the armed forces of Ukraine, the fake document read. It went on to warn that if a potential recruit does not comply, Polish officials could take further steps to enforce mobilization. Draft dodgers, the letter said, may face criminal consequences, including extradition to Ukraine. And it seems like, from this article, that they're desperate for recruits to keep the efforts alive. Here under read more, it says, Zelensky admits more troops are deserting. The official stressed that his office is not the author of such letters. While resembling official documents, they contain neither the agency's logo nor specific articles of Ukraine's mobilization laws. Well, somebody had to send them. And why would it target only Ukrainian men? So something's fishy. Kiev's embassy in Poland also addressed the issue, stating that Ukrainian conscripts, reservists, or those eligible for military service are not being sent draft summonses or notifications. It remains unclear who is behind the purported scam. The Office for Foreigners did not specify whether it has launched an investigation into the matter. The Ukrainian government has long tried to persuade citizens who fled the country after the escalation of the conflict with Russia in 2022 to return home. So you see, they want them to return home, with media reports suggesting it was pressuring the EU to cut financial aid to Ukrainian immigrants. As of October 2024, there were nearly 4.2 million Ukrainians who were granted temporary protection status in the EU, with Poland accounting for nearly 1 million. Further reading says, Poland has also become home to the so-called Ukrainian Legion, a volunteer unit made up of Ukrainian citizens living in the country. According to officials in Kiev, the unit has received more than 1,000 applications, and some of its members have already been deployed to Ukraine. You see? So they're in desperate need of soldiers. And when it comes to this RT article, it seems like a cry of desperation for Ukrainian soldiers to keep hope alive, to keep that hope alive upon a war that's already been lost. Despite the heavy sanctions placed on the Russians, they still managed to win that Ukrainian war. Even though the Americans helped the Ukrainians behind the scenes, that's also their loss and defeat. But no side wants to admit defeat. When it comes to military conscription, that will also come to America 2nd Esdras 16 and 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. Right, because the women shall lose their men to the war. There shall be many casualties of war. But when it comes to the soldiers that partake in that destructive nuclear Third World War, none shall return. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. Right, because they shall die to the war. When we told you that a mandatory draft was coming, many did not believe. That mandatory military draft shall also come to America. And you saw that mandatory draft in the Israeli state, and you saw that mandatory draft also in the Ukrainians. So what makes you believe or think that it shall not also come to America? The time cometh when the least of the flock shall draw them out. The small hats shall draw out the Americans to that destructive war of Armageddon. And in turn, a military draft shall be issued. 2nd Esdras 16 and 34. In the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Right now, we are currently witnessing small wars taking place, rumors of wars, but make no mistake, as soon as that deceitful CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16 is fully implemented upon society, that third world war cometh quickly. In the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, especially in that third world war that shall come. And on the day of that greater destructive war, no soldier will come home. And the word conscription, as defined by the Britannica Dictionary Online, means the practice of ordering people by law to serve in the armed forces, the draft. The time will come when the Lord of hosts shall muster the host of the battle in that final showdown of World War III. Host meaning armies. But an inevitable third world war is coming. But before that war to end all wars takes place, the CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16 must first take place, must first come. As soon as that CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16 is implemented upon society, then that destructive, inevitable war to end all wars comes quickly. With that being said, let's go over to Revelation 11 and 14. Revelation 11 and 14. The second war is past, and behold, the third war cometh quickly. Meaning that second world war of destruction has passed, but the third world war of destruction cometh quickly. As soon as they implement the CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16, that war cometh quickly. The Lord Yahweh Yahushai has given Esau, Edom, the knowledge and technology of the sword, and has created the modern day smith in order to bring about the many weapons of his indignation, of his righteous anger. And those weapons of his righteous anger are the missiles, the warheads. Those nuclear missiles of destruction shall take out modern day Babylon the Great, and they shall also cleanse the land that the small hats now inhabit. Modern day Babylon the Great shall never rebuild, but the land that the small hats now inhabit shall rebuild to welcome in the true Israelites. An inevitable third world war is coming to modern day Babylon the Great, which is America. And when that war is declared, expect a mandatory draft to also take place for men and women. The so-called Israeli state, they had a mandatory draft, and so did the Ukrainians. So what makes you believe that America is not going to also have a mandatory draft? That mandatory draft is coming to America. But with that being said, Ka'ala Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, And double honors to the elders of GMS Ruwell, blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. And to the elect lady of 2 John 1:1, I also say Shalom and Barakatah.